right, we are at 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm sure we'll have more people join us. We are recording the session, so thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for being here. This is an awesome session we've been privileged to join in with Dr. Austin Walden, who is an associate professor of aviation on the Polytechnic campus. Thank you so much for allowing us nights to come and join you as well. He is successfully implementing Flipgrid into his Canvas course to support student engagement. So we're really excited to see what you're doing, Austin, and go ahead and take it away.
Okay, well, thanks, Laura. I just have to say that thank you for granting me tenure. This is my first year as assistant professor, not associate, but I love the idea. Maybe we'll get there soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my desktop, and I am going to walk everybody step by step through implementing Flipgrid. So I guess I want to start off with a little bit about me first. Who is Austin Walden, and why should we listen to you? And I believe that Lisa Chappé and Laura are going to be pasting the link into this Canvas course. So if you want to try to join, you certainly can. And please look for the chat there. But again, my name is Austin T. Walden. I'm a pilot. I'm a pilot and a flight instructor. I have a bachelor's degree in history. I have a master's degree in political science. And I have a PhD in educational psychology. And one of the things that educational psychology has taught me is that, you don't try to move the mountain to come to the kids. Sometimes you bring the kids to the mountain. And that's what we're trying to do in this Flipgrid talk today. I did want to kind of show you some of the classes that I've taught before online. So I've taught everything from private pilot ground school and aviation, all the way through learning to learn and adolescent psychology and the educational psychology realm. I'm also a government teacher, so I taught political science, and I've done quite a few of them online. And you can see me in my intro page with my motorcycle, so I appear to be hip and cool to the students. So why Flipgrid? What's the deal with Flipgrid? In my personal opinion, and in the research papers that I've published, in the presentations that I've done, I think discussion boards are awful. And this is personally my opinion, and I'm gonna get pushback on this, and we may have to edit out this segment later so that we don't get in trouble. But I don't like discussion boards. I don't like grading them. I don't like reading them. I don't like the fake answers I get. I don't like the replies to the fake answers I get. And even more than that, I mean, I would go with it if it got me somewhere. But I know what the idea of a discussion board is. The idea of a discussion board is that we're going to create a community of scholars, that we're going to bring in people and they're going to sit in with an idea and we're going to discuss these ideas and, kind of like a seminar, right? We're going to talk about this and we're going to go back and forth. The only problem is that with discussion boards, everything is based on one semester, okay? So you've got 16 weeks of time to develop a relationship with a person. If you look at real discussion boards like forums or community bulletin boards that we had in the 90s, right in the early 2000s that were big, you notice that you had a person with a random username, but you saw them for months, years, okay, a decade at times, okay? I belong to several forums and I know people based on their username. I know what's going on there. But, with discussion boards and with the semester-based approach, it really doesn't give us enough time. But I think that we should do this. I think that we should bring the people to the mountain. I don't think that we should move the mountain to the people. And this community of scholars thing is going to be so important. And, if you think about it, in this post-COVID world, I want to have my students feel connected to the school, even if their home environment doesn't really help them. Okay, so and we've all seen this probably in the COVID world where, students that we thought were A+, #1 students, turns out that when they're at home, they're living under different rules, under different guidelines, and it can be hard for them to succeed, right? And so sometimes I think something that's native to the students can help them out, which is why I like Flipgrid so much, because it's actually very easy for them to do. And also I do Flipgrid because I like to stay hip and relevant. And it seems like when I did my dissertation, I lost about 2 years of my life, and I'm trying to catch back up to the latest technologies. So I want to talk about how to add Flipgrid into our course. And then after we add it into the course, so I'm going to walk through here step by step. And then after we add it into the course, I'm going to post an introductory Flipgrid, and then we'll see if it's possible for people to respond, or I may just do a couple of responses myself. But are there any questions or anything that I need to address first here, Lisa or Laura?
Nothing in the chat yet, just some people agreeing with you on discussion boards.
I know that I'm going to get an email about how discussion boards are like really good and that I'm just doing them wrong, and I'm totally okay for that. First, I've got a couple of resources here for us. So I've got a Flipgrid, how to add to Canvas link, and I also have a video link here for you. So if you'd rather follow the video link, that's fine. But I'm just going to go into the official Flipgrid link here. And it's really simple, actually. Part one to add Flipgrid into your Canvas course is that you go within Canvas, we go to settings, we go to apps, okay, it's an application, and then we just find in Flipgrid, okay? So let's do that together. So I'm gonna go to settings, I'm gonna go to apps, and I'm just gonna filter by name because we actually have quite a few apps here at K-State. And I'm gonna click on Flipgrid, okay? And you know it's Flipgrid because it says the word Flipgrid, but still let you know, okay? And so Flipgrid's really easy to add. We just click here on the purple for K-State and we click on Add App. Now it brings me to this idea here. I have to have a name, I have to have a consumer key, and I have to have a shared secret. So what I would do at this point is I'd go to flipgrid.com. Okay, I'm gonna log in as an educator. Okay, whenever you create your first Flipgrid account, make sure it's with a email that you're gonna use for school. So I use @ksu.edu. Okay. So I've logged in here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a group. So I'm going to create a group over here on the right, and let's call this, let's see, KSU Flipgrid. Or maybe KSU beat OU. No, that's probably too bad. So KSU Flipgrid test, okay. So for any of my football people, I'm just gonna leave the join code here as 4296, and some of you may actually be able to use that. So why don't I type in this? Why don't I type in KSU FG? Yeah, KSU FG, and if you can use that, that'd be really cool. Now, one of the cool things about Flipgrid is that you can either add the students yourself, or you can choose whether or not they join with usernames or if they join with emails. I like to have the students and force the students to use their email when they join, and that's their official K-State email address. And I'm sure that's probably a good policy, but I'll have them join with student email and click next. Okay, so I could email them here, and I'm just going to say, add my students, anything with the ksu.edu email domain, and hit next. Okay, now what's really cool about Flipgrid is that, and this is concerning for teachers, but let's say that you experiment one semester and you just are barely getting used to it, and then you want to take and implement some of these ideas for all of your future classes and roll them out. Well, of course you can. You can actually come through and duplicate your topics when you're setting up a new group. So this is kind of really handy. You don't have to keep recording yourself over and over, but I'm gonna skip this for now. And then I have myself my share code, so KSUFG, and then you can also create a QR code, okay? So students sometimes like QR codes. You can also embed it into your Canvas, and you can share it on a couple of different places. So let's go to the group and see what we have. Okay, so a Flipgrid, a grid is like your classroom. Okay, so the grid is the classroom, and that may sound ominous a little bit, but the grid is your classroom. So you may have an introduction to a philosophy classroom, you may have a science classroom, you may have all these different things, okay? And within each classroom, you have topics. So that's the hierarchy here. You've got the overall grid, your classroom, and then you've got individual discussion topics. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to start and add a topic and just kind of show you what I might do for something I might have in my class. And before I go too into the technical side, I just want to say that if you are coming from a discussion board atmosphere where you've done discussion boards, you don't want to get rid of the prompts, you don't want to start all the way over from scratch, something that I found really easy to do is actually take some of those discussion board prompts and just put them as your first prompt into your Flipgrid, okay? Now I'm gonna start this topic, and I can do this a couple of different ways. So I'm gonna come in here to add topic. It's gonna say, okay, what's your topic essential? Add a title for your topic. Well, we all know the very first thing you do, the very first week of class is you always do introductions, right? Okay, you always do introductions. And so actually, while this may be hokey a little, it's actually a lot of fun because the students see an opportunity to use Flipgrid and to introduce themselves. Now, you'll see in a minute that this is very similar to Instagram stories or Facebook stories or Snapchat stories, okay? So the students are kind of already at that mountain, and now we have an opportunity to combine their creative side with a little bit of their academic side. So what you can do, and what I really encourage you to do, is I encourage you to use the prompt here and write out what your instructions are. So maybe number one, record yourself saying hi. And of course, you know, we all know this as teachers, but every time you type something, you've always got typos and misspellings. And then number two, you know, tell us about your favorite city you've visited, okay, and etc. And then what you might do is you might put, you know, number three here, reply to any student from a different town, okay, or different state, or somebody from a different nationality, whatever you're thinking about. Now, I like to come down here, and I like to always set my recording time at 10 minutes. I always set it at 10 minutes. Sometimes the default actually is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So please don't be like me and have this class on ethics and philosophy and post a prompt for the students that says, hey, please, you know, talk to us about Aristotle here. And then only have a Flipgrid for 1 minute and 30 seconds because it may not be as quality as you thought it was going to be, okay? So I'm going to set it down here for 10 minutes. Now, I have a couple of different options here when it comes to making this Flipgrid. I can either record a video, so just using this monitor right here and this webcam, or if I have a video I've already done, or maybe I've got something on my iPad or something that I've recorded previously, I can upload a video. Okay, I can also add a video from YouTube or Vimeo. I can upload some images. Some emojis are always really useful in this. Okay, feel free to have a little fun with this. Feel free to have a little fun, because if you have a little fun when you're creating this stuff, you'd be amazed at how much more response you're going to get from your students. And again, the point is to get rid of all the fake answers from discussion boards and have a rich experience with your students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a video with you. Okay, now I'm doing my FaceTime camera and my AirPods Pro, of course, and my Apple Pencil and my iPad. Okay, shout out to Steve Jobs there. Okay, so you've got a couple of different options. So, you know, you can just record the typical old, you know, hello, my name's Austin Walden, and I'll be your professor for this semester. We also have some other really cool options here. We can upload clips. You know, if you've got a better or worse side, you can mirror the video there. And then what's really probably the most interesting to a lot of people is that you can actually add some effects. Now, it's never made me prettier, but it's disguised a lot of my flaws before. So what I think some of the people might enjoy is actually doing a whiteboard. So I can come over here and I can select the type of whiteboard. I'm just going to do just a regular old whiteboard, okay? And you can change the width here. But now that I've got a board selected, I can come back to draw. And for you math and science people, and I mean, just anybody, me even in aviation, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my Apple Pencil, and I'm going to use Sidecar here, and I'm just going to come in and now you're going to see how terrible my writing is. And hello. Okay. So if you wanted to draw a wing, okay, or if you wanted to, you know, do X plus Y is equal to any of this kind of stuff, okay, you can certainly do it. And you can change the colors to make it more readable. If we want to do something a little more purple, you know, we can come in and etc. So some of you are really adept at using whiteboards. Some of us are, you know, a little more keyboard enabled, but, you know, something interesting that you can do, and you can certainly make the board, again, as big or as small as you want it to be. Okay, so I don't need to even be on the screen. I can actually just be all the way off, and you can use all of that real estate. So I like that a lot. Also, you know, you can put in emojis. Where did my emojis thing go? Or, oh, there we go. Okay, so emojis. So, you know, if you want to put your little halo there. And again, I know I'm being almost farcical about this, but really this is creating a community, so you get to have your personal branding about yourself, okay? If you want to take this real serious and have, hello, my name is Professor so-and-so, here's the deal, fine, do that. If you want to have a little more fun, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm also gonna bring in a photo here. So let's say that I have a photo that I really want people to see. I'm just gonna drag and drop. Okay, so I've got a photo there that I can resize. Okay, so you've got all these other tools, but you're saying to me, okay, this is great and all. This is cool that you can do all this kind of stuff, but why don't we stick with the basics for the first time? And I say, okay, let's stick with the basics for the first time. So what I'll do is I'm going to record myself. Okay, and this is one of those things where you get prepared and think about your script and etc. But let's do the same prompt that we had earlier. Please, my name is Austin Walden. I would like you to introduce yourself. Please name your favorite town that you visited internationally. Okay, and I've kind of rehearsed that to myself, so let's record it now. Hello, my name is Austin Walden. I would like you to introduce yourself to me in the classroom. Please tell me about your favorite city that you've ever visited, and what's your favorite activity when you're away from home? Okay, good. Now I'm going to go on to my next step. And I'm sure everybody can hear that, right? Mm-hmm. Nod or no. What did I do wrong? Bless my heart. Excuse me 1 second. I think I've already figured this out. Well, it happened. The audio was totally there. This is all an illusion. It was just fine. Okay, we're going to go along with that. I'm talking to teachers. You guys understand.
Austin, just in terms of your Zoom share, whether or not you're sharing your computer audio.
You know, I just did this a second ago, but maybe it's my fault. Let me try this one more. No, it says share computer sound. Oh, well, you guys get the idea, right? It's just a recording back of me. Okay, now you can click on next. And then you can take your default screenshot that you want to go along and have your YouTube cover video, your Flipgrid cover video. See how beautiful that was? Okay, or you could redo your selfie, you know, if you want to seem smart. Okay, and so that's what's going to show up. And we're going to upload the video here.
Hey, Austin, we had a question while that's uploading. How are you syncing the tablet with your computer?
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm an Apple diehard. I'm an Apple diehard ever since Steve Jobs replied back to me on a personal email when I was a broke undergrad and a long time ago. But I'm actually using, so I've got a Mac, I've got a MacBook Pro here, and I've got an iPad, and I've got Apple Pencil. And with the latest software for the Macintoshes, we have something called Sidecar. So if you've got a Mac laptop or a Mac computer, you can do Sidecar up there in the Spotlight or look in System Preferences, and actually it'll do screen sharing, okay? So you can either use this as a second or third monitor, and as a matter of fact, I may even be able to show you what that looks like. So let's look at Sidecar. And Lisa, a quick nod of the head if you can see that window there. Yeah, cool. So, you know, I can replicate and duplicate everything that I'm doing on the Mac and the iPad as well. Okay, so great question. Anything else so far?
That's it so far.
Let me just stop for a second. For those of you who are not Apple folks, you actually in Zoom can use two devices. So you can be, viewing yourself on the screen, but then also pull up your iPad or whatever and have that be a secondary device within Zoom. So I'm hoping that we can get into Flipgrid, and I'll look for some instructions on whether or not that kind of works the same way within Flipgrid.
Very good. Okay, so we've got a success on our video, and I've made a selfie here that's going to get me 4 to 5 hits from my students probably, as opposed to the 30 that I might have in class. And so I've got this topic, okay? So I've got my title, I've got a bulleted list of what I want them to do, okay? And then I've also got instructions for them. You know, also this is a good opportunity for you to come in and say, you know, first video due Wednesday, and you do it for whatever you need to do, and then reply by Sunday at 11:59. Okay, so I like to give my students very clear instructions on when I want their first video, and then I want to give explicit instructions to my students on when I want their replies. Because if I don't, what tends to happen is it all gets shifted until the end of the world there. Okay, so now you've got a couple of different ideas on video moderation. So you can either hide the videos from the students, or you can allow it to post up and be visible as soon as they do it. If I don't like that media, I can delete it, and then and et cetera. So there are some more options here, but just for starting out, let's just create our topic. Okay, so now my topic is ready, and I've got a topic for the students here. Now that I've got that, what I want to do is I want to actually integrate this into Canvas, okay? So I'm going to go back into my KSU Flipgrid test. I'm going to look at my integrations here at the top right. So I'm going to click on my very cool profile, and I'm going to click on integrations. And what I'll do is I'm going to add a new integration, okay? So I'm going to add a new integration, and let's say this is going to be for KSU Flipgrid, okay? So I'm going to come in and hit create. So now I've got a consumer key and I've got a shared secret. And so what's really cool is that if I go back into Canvas, remember when we added our app, okay, and it's been a minute, so let me do that again. So I went to settings, then I went to apps, then I typed in Flipgrid, okay, and then come in. When you add that app, look what it looks, what it asks for. It asks for a consumer key and it asks for a shared secret. So I'm going to give it the consumer key. Excuse me one second. I can't see that really. Nope. So I'm going to give it a consumer key. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in here. And then I've got a shared secret that is automatically made for me. I'm just going to copy it here. I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to add the app. Okay, that it's now in the installed section, and so I now should have it within my Canvas course. So let's go back to modules, and let's see what we can do. So recording yourself giving a prompt is great, okay, and having the students respond in a video is great. They have the same options that you do when it comes to adding emojis and adding flair and adding some backgrounds, etc. But what about some real ideas? Okay, so maybe you start out with just discussion board replacements, but let's see if we can't find some things that I've done and that other people I know that have done. And now this is all from a website called Ditch That Textbook right here. And I've just copied and pasted it in for us to be able to read it a little bit easier. But you can do anything from book readings and conversations. You can have students tell stories with each other. It doesn't necessarily have to be that one professor asks a question and one student responds to all of those professors' questions. It could be that you say, okay, I'm going to have a train, and I'm going to start off and tell a story for 30 seconds, and then the next person gets to tell a story for 30 seconds, and then everybody kind of moves along with that. You can do debates of topics. Now, debates of topics is really interesting because you get to see how people may be keyboard warriors, but when it comes to face-to-face, they may have a little more challenge there. And remember, what's cool about Flipgrid is that if I didn't like that video that I posted, I can always delete it and retry it there. Now, some of the ones that I've done in particular, speaking skills assessment. So for some of you that may be in public speaking or doing any type of business reports or anything along these lines, especially in aviation, the students have to be able to speak clear, concise English. And you'd be surprised that some of the students from Kansas get a little nervous when it comes to talking on the radio. So what you can do is you can actually set up a prompt and say, I would like you to repeat these phrases, or I would like you to communicate with me in this manner. And you can have them record their videos, and they can do some speaking skills assessment. The most common ones are showing what you know. Okay, like, so we read chapter 3, please tell me your thoughts, or tell me the insightful analysis that whatever author is giving us there. And the math activities are amazing. There's lots of great YouTube videos on people using Flipgrid for math. You could post up a problem, and you could say, okay, I want you to give me the answer to the problem, sure, but I want you to use the whiteboard, and I want you to talk me through how you solved this particular problem. It's amazing. We know this as teachers, but it's not until you've taught something that you actually know it, kind of like what's happening right here. But it's amazing how the students, that first couple of Flipgrids, you can watch the students really start to transform themselves into not only knowing, what to write or how to calculate, but also talking about it is also teaching themselves at the same time. So, using Flipgrid like this can be quite revolutionary a little bit. Also science and social studies, so you can have them brainstorm and create ideas, share codes, talk about how they did code, do virtual field trips and landmarks, and et cetera. And then something that I think is probably the most easy to understand is to build that community of learners, not only people that are, just into that subject, but also people as human beings. Because that's been one of the hardest things, I think, for us in this COVID era, is getting the students to feel like they're still students with other people and not just, isolated in their rooms all the time. So, advice to next year's class, maybe making a student of the week or something like that, and et cetera. So do I have any questions from the chat or anything so far?
You had a question about the key. Do you have to do that every time you do an assignment, or is it unique to the course?
Unique to the course. I'm so glad you asked that. Okay, so what's happening is Canvas is saying, hey, I want to install this app called Flipgrid. And Flipgrid says, okay, there's a billion different grids, there's a billion different courses, there's a billion different canvases. How are we going to be able to talk to this one particular one that you want? Well, it creates a key and it creates this consumer code so that it can say, okay, we've got this one thing here and we've got this Canvas course here. And now we know that they'll talk to each other. Okay, so it's a one-time thing, and I'm so glad that you asked me that. So I've got some other ideas, best practices, meaningful discussions. I've got some links for drawing and Flipgrid here. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to create our first assignment now solely in Canvas. Okay, so now I've added the app, and I'm going to actually go through in Canvas and start. So I know when I was demonstrating the video in particular, I just kind of made one on the fly. But let me actually go through in Canvas and make the assignment. Because if you go through in Canvas and make the assignment, then it shows up and you can grade it in your to-do list very easily, which makes things real nice on you. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here and into our first assignment module, and I'm just gonna create a new assignment. Okay, Flipgrid is considered an assignment here, and my best practice and something that I do for all my students is, if it's a quiz, I always put Q1 or Q2 or Q3, whatever. If it's an assignment for the week, I do A1. Dash, whatever. If it's a Flipgrid, I like to let them know that it's a Flipgrid, and I do FG1, and I just do introduction, okay? And I come in, and so I make it. So just a little thing that I've picked up from other people over the years. So now I've got our first assignment, FG1, introduction. Okay, I'm gonna come in and click. So this is where people get kind of messed up sometimes because, assignments can be real weird in Canvas. Really, I use quizzes almost all the time, even for weekly assignments. So the nomenclature can be odd, but this is an assignment that you're going to do. I'm going to come up here to the top right, and I'm going to click on edit. And then I'm going to come down here to submission type. Now, Flipgrid is not native to Canvas. It is an external tool. It's something else that you would add in. Okay, I'm going to come to external tool. And then I'm going to find this external tool. I know that it's Flipgrid, but I'm going to come in and find it. Well, you can see all these different options that we've got. But lo and behold, F is pretty close to the top. So I'm going to click on Flipgrid and hit select. Okay, now, there is an argument to be made about opening the tool in a new tab. I don't like to do that anymore. I used to always have it open in a new tab, but what I found out is that if you open it in a new tab and the students, are completing it in a separate tab, sometimes it tells you that student has completed it in Canvas. It'll be done in Flipgrid, so you can see it in Flipgrid, but sometimes it won't alert you in Canvas. So I like to leave that off, okay? And then, how many attempts do I want to do? Oh, well, let's just leave it as unlimited for nice and easy. Okay, so Flipgrid 1, introduction. Introduce yourself. Name your favorite town. Okay, and then again, this is where we put in this, first video. Okay, I like to do this, and I like to bold it and underline it for the students just to make sure that we're all kind of on the same pattern. And I like to keep my Flipgrids all the same every week. Let's give it 10 points. And another trick that I do is the first video due on Wednesday. Let's do 5 points. And then the reply is due by Sunday. Well, you know what? Let's make that 5 points as well. That way everybody's kind of gotten, this is a really simple rubric, but it is something. It's a start for you at least, okay? And then, if we got real fancy, we could assign it to a Flipgrid assignment group if you wanted it to be a part of something different in your syllabus. Okay. So now let's save and publish this. So now I'm going to create a course group, and here I am. Okay. So if I wanted to, I could either edit this. So I've already got the kind of prompt up here, but let's just say the student went into flipgrid.com and logged in that way, as opposed to going through Canvas. Sometimes I just like to copy and paste, just in case anything goes wrong. Okay. And then again, you know, if the students may be intimidated by a minute 30 seconds, they may be intimidated by 10 minutes. But the nice thing about 10 minutes is that they don't have to use it. They can use 30 seconds if they want to, you know, unless you've specified a time that you want them. I like to leave it as 10 minutes because I want people to be able to feel free to use the amount that's necessary, okay? And so now I can come in and record my video, or I could also add any media up here at the top that I wanted to, and we can do the same thing all over again. So I'm just gonna go ahead and publish it. Now there's a whole bunch of different options here. You can require students to provide an email address to submit their video. I like that a lot. I want that K-State email address always coming in. I don't want bballstar24@yahoo.com replying to stuff. I like to force and mandate that stuff. You can also set what kind of videos you want. If you're going to allow the students to edit their videos or to you know, trim their videos or put in emojis. You know, some people would put in, you know, likes. I think the likeification of everything has made America worse. So I'm just going to ignore that all the way together there. Okay, and then also you can do feedback here. You can either do basic feedback or you can do some custom feedback. And this is where you can put in some of this rubric stuff that you may want to use. So update this topic here, knowing full well that you're going to come into these settings and change and look around and mess with it. And so here is where I would have some responses, okay? So I don't know, do we want to try to give this a shot where people try to respond to my very first video, or should we just forget it?
So we can't access it through the Canvas course. It's asking us to log in, but if you want to just give us the link directly to Flipgrid, we sure could.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay, now that's put me on the spot here, but how do I want to do that? Let's see here. Because normally I just do it through Canvas.
I think you could probably just click the share.
Oh, there's a share button.
Yeah.
Well, it is shaded out, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's shaded out. Probably because it's integrated with Canvas.
Let me try this. Let me log back in and let me see if we can do this. We've got enough time, don't we? I think so.
Yeah, we still have 27 minutes.
Well, that's a bummer. I don't see the share option, but I do see the share option for this one. Why don't we try it in the other one? And then I can show you a real world example of how I'd actually grade in the other. So, you know, if everybody wants to go to KSUFG, download the Flipgrid app either, you know, on their phones or their iPads or Android devices, or if you want to go into Safari or Firefox. I found that it works on all of the platforms actually. And I'll see if I can't get some people. And you know what, I'll even put the QR code up here. So if you want to take a photo of it and be real hip, you certainly can.
Austin, we have a few questions if you'd like to answer them while we're waiting for some.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. Absolutely.
They'll probably hear you talking over the videos. That's okay. Basically, one just asked, is there a reason that the reply to another student isn't included in that original assignment? Does that need to be separately entered? So in your generally have people respond to a couple classmates?
Yes. Okay. And I can, while you guys are recording yourselves talking, I can give you a couple of examples. Now these have all the last names kind of edited out. So what do you think? Are we good on FERPA here if I do this? There's no grades.
I think if we just see first names, we're okay. If anyone disagrees, tell me.
No, I think we should be
Let's,
okay.
okay. All right. So I'm just going to go into my Mastering Academic Conversations class, which is, freshman first year experience. And so, I've got some examples of my Flipgrids, and you can see I'm actually true to my practice here. I actually call it Flipgrid 1, Flipgrid 2, Flipgrid 3, and et cetera. So I'll just go here into introduction and click on it. Oh, actually, no, let me do a different one because I made a mistake. So I had to try again with my students. Let's do personality. And so as you can see, I have not only their Flipgrid, but I also have any comments. So what'll happen is any reply will basically show up as a comment. So I said to all the students, post a video of yourself. So that's what all of these students have done. And then in the right-hand column here in comments, I can see who has replied to each other, and it's all a video comment. So that's how I set it up. I set it up as one assignment, and then I set it up as people responding. Now, I only told the students, respond to people that pique your interest on this particular topic. You could say, respond to every single other person in class, but I find that to be overkill and not really to the point. You want people to make those connections with other students that are meaningful to them so that they can build the same way that they would have in their regular classroom experience. What do you think? Any other questions there, Laura? Oh, look, I'm getting some responses in my Flipgrid test. Okay. All right. Now, do I have Dr. Matlock's and Gaia H's permission to watch these videos? Let me see.
Yeah, this is Gaia, but my sound didn't work. So I'm trying to figure out what happened. Like, I don't know what happened. So
what are you on, Gaia? What platform are you on, and what are you trying to do?
I just used my webcam, and I wonder, because I was muted on the Zoom, if that messed it up.
So this is Scott Finkeldye. If those of you on a laptop particularly, Zoom may be controlling your audio source and not releasing it to Flipgrid. You'd have to manually sort of say when you're going to stop using Zoom and start using Flipgrid, make that switch. People on desktop computers probably don't have that problem. They usually can handle that negotiation, but laptops, that's often a consideration. So in other words, when you're just using Flipgrid, when you're not also on a Zoom call with the rest of us, it'll work totally fine.
Thank you so much for that. I 100% agree with you. And if you could see my sound screen, my sound settings in macOS, as opposed to my speakers or my AirPods Pro, it's coming through Zoom. So that may have caused some of our problem and our feedback from earlier. So, I'm just going to look and let's see how creative we got with this. So, good enough. Okay. I give 10 out of 10. We've got a ceiling. We've got a couple of air conditioning vents that we've never seen before. We've got some good color on the walls, and we've got somebody talking. Okay, so what's neat about this is that I can add a comment, and I can do a video comment to you, and I could say, let's figure one out. I am so glad to have you in class. It's going to be a wonderful semester. I like everything that you talked about. I can't wait to learn more about. Okay, great. And so if I wanted to add some effects, maybe let's say that I didn't like something, if I wanted to be a little more interesting, maybe I've got a jungle theme. And, I don't want to be too flippant about these frames because honestly, students are sometimes very embarrassed about where they're from. And they're very embarrassed about like their home situation, and they've got mom and dad walking across, and they don't understand the gravitas of university-based education, right? So it's real easy to be kind of flippant about some of this stuff, but sometimes a really well-placed emoji can hide maybe brother's bedroom or other people in the house that they don't want to interact with. Okay, so we've got some options there, and I could also, if this is a math something, I could draw a response. Okay, so let me just see if I can't do that right quick. Maybe I'll take the border off just for the response. What do you think? Let's do that. So I could say, and let me make sure that I've got my drawing. Okay, always make sure you go back and click draw, because that can be kind of the bummer. But you could just do a check mark for like, this is great, or needs work, much like my writing with my Apple Pencil, and etc. But you can come through or if you're a math professor, you can come through and work some of these problems with the students. So maybe they just got off one line item as they're going through. You can come in and actually work it with them. Okay, so you could do that. I'll just go ahead and click next. Here's my response to them, where I judge my appearance and I judge everything about me. Fine, good. And then I could, motivational selfie here. You can add some effects to that, and etc. You can come in, upload the video, and then you've got a response. You can add some links and some titles and a whole bunch of other things there. Okay. So now we've got Wendy Matlock had her reply to the prompt. She introduced herself, and then I replied in video to this person. Now, you can either do a whole bunch of video replies if you have a small class, or you could come back and do another big video reply to everyone, or you could simply just save all the grading in the comments just in Canvas. Okay. I think I see some things in chat. What do we have going so far, Lisa?
Just people having issues, and I think it's just because some people went from Canvas, some people went from Flipgrid. She could see her response but not comment on others. So I think it's just some things with using a public course.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably my fault. I just didn't know how to show you guys everything about Flipgrid without using somebody else's canned material or getting myself in trouble with FERPA. But I promise it's a lot easier when you go through and do it yourself. The hardest part, honestly, is just creating that consumer key. But all it is just coming up to this profile, going to integrations, and adding a new integration so you can bring it into Canvas. Okay. So yeah, and so what's really cool is going back to Canvas for a second. So when I come into SpeedGrader, if anybody had been able to join the public course, and test student is always either the best student or the worst student, aren't they? They're either really good or they're really bad. I like to give them 10 out of 10 for effort. But what's cool about Flipgrid and about Canvas is that Flipgrid will show up right here where it says the student does not have a submission. It'll actually pop in right here. You don't have to go to flipgrid.com to do anything. You can manage it all from Canvas, and you can actually see all of their responses. So I just don't have a way, I think, of showing you somebody else's responses and assignments without getting myself in trouble. But there are plenty of resources that I have in my course here. So maybe we can look at a video or something, unless I have some questions in chat.
I have one. She writes, one problem I've had is students asking me for a password because the app on their phones told them to ask your educator for a password, and I never know the password.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what's happening probably is that instead of, there's a couple things that could be happening. Number one, you may have set it to like student username as opposed to student emails. I like to just always set it to student email. That way nobody else can join in. Now, there are things such as like codes. So let me see if I can. Let me go back to, okay, so if I go to KSU Flipgrid test right here, you do have a join code that you can show them right here. So you can type in this KSU FG. Now, again, because of the requirements that I have personally, I always edit the group to make sure, and you can see the join codes up here, and you click the pencil and you come to the top right. But I always make sure that it's private, and I do student email with @ksu.edu. Now, you could, if you wanted to, go to KSUS and download the CSV file or Excel file and input all of your students in manually. But, people add and drop sometimes, and so I typically don't do that. But there's also an optional ability here for a guest password that would allow families and guests and other people to join the group, which I also think would be horrific. I don't want anybody else but the exact students enrolled in my course to have access to this Flipgrid. But maybe there's an option there that you've set that you can go and take a look at. Okay. Let's see, what else? Now there are settings in here for you to be able to control whether or not students can share this. So, wouldn't it be horrific if you were having a really bad day and you made a couple of mistakes on your own personal video and all your students shared it out to Twitch or Twitter or Facebook or something like that? You can actually disable that. Again, the students probably could just get their iPad out and just record you on the screen, but it's there. But I have found that if you're cool with the students, and I don't mean you have to be their best friend and you don't have to be hip, but I found that if you're approachable through this technology, just trying this stuff out will make the students just love you in the first place. Okay. So often it's just that first step to get people to really commit to it. And, as you guys are kind of finding out, it's just so much like something the students have already done. Okay. It's already like Facebook stories or Instagram stories or whatever. So I'm going to go back unless there's any objections, but I've just got some guides here for maybe some meaningful discussions. So I'm going to open this in a new window and just take a look. And of course, all credits to the people that wrote this, and you can see it up here at the top. But using Flipgrid to foster meaningful discussions. Let's go down to page 18, 19 for some of these science-based units. Okay, and we all know that good teaching is good stealing, right? So good teaching is good stealing, and certainly, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like I said earlier, okay, I got an applause on that. But very simple. Start with those discussion prompts that you started with in your discussion boards that you stole from your professors 10 years ago. Okay, we all stole them. You just stole them, and now maybe challenge yourself the second or third semester. Challenge yourself that second or third semester to try something new. So, you can talk about, you can have them identify scientists, or you can have them identify like maybe biases in science. You can have them reflect upon a science experiment that they conducted and maybe say why it went well or why it didn't go well. I often have the students talk to me about somebody from a historical perspective, or if I'm talking about aviation in particular, I'll have them explain to me how they convert from Central Standard Time to Zulu time. Because it's absolutely amazing with Flipgrid, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it one more time in this, you don't know what you know until you have to teach it to somebody. And those students, when you make an assignment that says, tell me how you found Zulu time, what happens is some of them will try to wing it and then re-record themselves about 20 or 25 times. That's fine. I can't tell how many times they did it, but that's good. Or they'll write themselves a script. And they'll say, okay, and they'll follow that script, and then you'll see them reading that script. But that's okay. I don't care if they read that script because I made them already take an active part in their learning, right? It wasn't just a copying from a sentence or something from the book. They had to actively think about it. They took time to write that script out for themselves, and then they're saying it back again. So presentation skills could either be a really big deal for you, like theater course, maybe reading some prose or a monologue, or it could be just inconsequential, but it is still time that they spent on the activity, which honestly sometimes is what we're going for anyway. Let me stop here and answer any questions if there are any. I know we've just got a short time left.
No questions right now. Although someone
just angry comments.
No, we just don't steal, we upcycle. That does sound better.
That's right. We upcycle and we include the author's name so that we can credit them, right? Absolutely. So I've got a couple other videos here for you, about how to draw in Flipgrid and some other things. And, we've got our first assignment here. So I wonder if I'm going to try something really dumb and last minute. And I don't think it's going to work, but we're going to try. Let's go to student view. Let me go into this module. It's not going to work, but maybe it will. Cool. So if I'm the student, this is what I see. So I see the introduce myself. I see how many points, name the favorite talent. And I just like to make it as easy for the students as possible. We all know that when we're doing online stuff, we forget to publish something. The students forgot to check something. It's that 1 week that we made something different on the schedule. Instead of a Tuesday, now it's a Thursday, right? I mean, all of these things happen. And I especially know that I forget to publish stuff sometimes. But I like to put in these bullet points so that people, know what to expect to come in. And so, here I am in my Flipgrid practice course. I can record a response here. I can see that the other students have already responded. Okay, now you can turn off that feature where if you don't want anybody else to see the response or the reply to the topic, you can turn it off. 9 times out of 10, I leave it on there. Let me see if I can do this. Allow. Okay, I'm a student. I'm getting ready to respond to the introduction. Hi, Dr. Walden. My name's Austin, and I'm so excited to be in your class. This is going to be the best semester ever, and I know that you're amazing because I've read all of your Rate My Professor reviews that you wrote yourself. Can't wait. Oh, well, there's a mistake. Hi, Dr. Walden. I'm so excited to be in your class. I can't wait to be in your class because I've read all of your fake Rate My Professor reviews, and I just know that you're amazing. And you also need a haircut and a shave. Okay, cool. So, all right, then we can add in some maybe effects here. Let's see. Do I want to add in some text? Let's do some superpower here. Let's add in welcome. Okay. So just be as creative as you want to be. And should I put that right over my face? Right about there. Should work just fine. Okay, you can come through and customize that. Review it. Boom. And of course, test student. Oh, I got to enter an email. Oh, well, Lord help me. Anyway, but you guys get the idea. We get the idea, right? We're all going to be there. Okay. Poor sweet test student. Okay. What else do I have? And again, I'd love to introduce you or bring you into this Canvas course for some of these resources. I'd love to send it out via Lisa and Laura if they're so interested. So.
Okay, are there any more questions for Dr. Walden here? I think that there are no more questions, but thank you so much. This was very interesting. And I think it's going to be a good tool for everybody to use.
I just, for like the last closing comments here, be as fun and as creative as you want to be the second or third semester. That first semester, just post the assignment, post it in there, and roll with all the technology problems that you're going to have. Honestly, after that first semester, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I saw there was a comment about Duo Mobile problems, but me personally, I've never had any problems with that. So, that first semester, just stick with that discussion board format in video form. But, semester 2 or 3, you can really build an interesting community, and it just doesn't have to be a response to you. You can really have the students start, reading to each other and doing all sorts of plays and theatrical stuff, or even just doing computer programming and et cetera. So anyway, okay, that's all I have. I just want to say thanks to everybody that watched. I really enjoyed doing this.
Thank you so much. And thank you everybody who attended. This has been recording, and we will get that linked as soon as we can. Thank you.